if you can stop, don't start yet. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you're all well, inshallah ta'ala. We start with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Rabbi zidni ilma. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqtatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Sadaqallahu al-aliyyul azim. I welcome you all to our class again. And I am really hoping that everybody is enjoying this month of Ramadan and actively taking part in the, ibadah, trying to better themselves in at least one aspect. We should all try to better ourselves at least in one aspect in the month of Ramadan, so that, there is improvement constantly in our character, in our lives. Okay. Is there anybody struggling to hear me? Because all of you are mute, so I don't know. Everybody can hear me with a yes on your chat box, please. Okay, I've got a few yeses. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay. And yeah, so we will try and study something about one of our principles of aqaid, of al-aqidah, which is the usul al-din, which is adala. Now, before I start, can I ask everybody, who amongst you students did do your homework from the last class? And I think I had mentioned that you have to go through the exercises which are there in the book with 6.2 and 6.3. Anybody who went through it and did it, please a yes on the chat box. Nobody seems to have done it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Somebody's gone through 6.2. Anybody else did their homework? Anybody did the exercises? Anybody revised anything that we studied from last class? That is not very good. But hopefully you shall all revise, at least revise, and if not, at least go through the exercises in the book that are there, so that you are always progressing. I don't want to be in a position where I force you to do something, although I can't do that. But maybe I don't work like that. I don't like to put, I just say to you that you should do this and you should do this. I expect you all, you're teenagers, you're grown-up people. So yes, Imran, thank you. Acted upon what you told us last time. That's very kind of you. I would treat you like grown-up people. I don't want to treat you like children, unless you want me to force you to do certain things. That's different. But when we discuss something and I say, please go ahead and do this, I expect you all to go ahead and do this, inshallah, from today. So anyway, thank you for all who did it. And so I'm going to ask Abbas Reza to unmute himself, please, and talk to us all about what he answered the questions for 6.2, the exercise number 6.2. You read out the question and then tell me what you have found the answer about. So Abbas, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I've unmuted you now. Yes, please give us a presentation about your answers, maximum of 5 minutes, not even more than that.
Yeah.
And everybody, please listen to him and see if you can pick up any more points that he might have missed or you would like to add yourself to his answers. Okay, Abbas, take it on.
So the first question was, what are the 7 benefits of fasting in chapter 6.2? So you got 7 main ones. You got number 1 being fasting brings us closer to Allah. The second one being fasting teaches us patience. The third one, fasting helps us know how it feels to be poor. The fourth one, fasting brings about thankfulness to Allah. The fifth one is fasting brings about self-control. The sixth one is fasting breaks our pride, and the seventh one is fasting is good for health. So when it says fasting brings us closer to Allah, it's basically where when you're fasting, it's a really hard action to do, and when you go through hard times, it brings you closer to Allah, similar to Prophet Ayub and how he went about his life and how he lost all his family and his cattle. The second one is fasting teaches us patience. So we all, whenever we go into the kitchen during fasting, we always see this chocolate or this fruit, and it looks really appetizing. But fasting teaches us to be patient and try to hold out until iftar time. The third one, fasting helps us know how it feels to be poor. So when you're fasting, you don't know when your next meal is going to be exactly. Now this helps you empathize with poor people because they don't know when their next meal is going to come, and it actually encourages you to give more to charity because you've actually been in you've been in their feet, so to say. So you try to give more to charity. The fourth one is fasting brings about thankfulness to Allah. Similar to charity, you feel thankful that you have a meal 3 times a day, and you have a house to enjoy it in and things like that. Fasting brings about self-control. I've already mentioned about how you like apply patience into your life and how you stop trying to do some evil practices because it is Ramadan. So for example, music, if you're already doing that during Ramadan, you know not to do that now. Fasting breaks our pride. So it's actually similar to Hajj in that every single Muslim around the world is doing something and you're all equal and you're all doing the same thing. So for example, if you were like eating like some really posh food, now you like, I don't know, you're like kind of giving more to charity now because I'm not really sure how to explain it. And then the seventh one is fasting is good for the health. So when you're actually fasting, you actually release this thing called growth hormone, which is an anti-aging hormone, and it burns fat and heals joints. So basically protein synthesis. It reduces inflammation in most of the joints, and quite a few non-Muslims as well as Muslims talk about how they feel fresh and how they aren't feeling particularly stressed during fasting. Fasting also reduces weight as a surplus glycogen stored in your liver is being used up, which is stored as fat in the body, and that's it. Oh, and
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful. I will hold on for the next part. Really, really good. Did you get the last one from your dad?
No, I looked at a YouTube video, Uncle.
Okay. Mashallah, mashallah. Very good. Tell me something about the sixth point. Anybody who wants to ask a question to Abbas, please unmute yourself and you can go ahead and asking. Don't worry about interrupting me at this moment because now it's a discussion mode at this moment. You can unmute yourself and you can speak if you want to. What I want to say, Abbas, is this thing about eating posh food.
I'm not. I was just making things up, really.
I know.
I didn't really
Okay,
know what to
calm
say.
down. Let
I
me
didn't know
complete
what
what
to
I'm
say.
saying. This thing about eating posh food. And we tend to give more charity in the month of Ramadan, which we do, and inshallah we all should, and should increase our charity. But don't you think that we eat more posh food in the month of Ramadan? The ones who can afford it?
I didn't really know what I was talking about, Uncle. Because when I get stressed, I kind of make things up. So I mean.
No, now you're giving a presentation. You now know that when you say
Yeah.
something, you need to back it up.
Yeah. I mean.
Explain to me. Just think about it now. It's not like a test or something like that. Explain to me, what is your definition of a posh food?
Caviar. I'm not really sure.
Okay, not
No,
well.
not really,
What you're trying to say
not,
is rich food which we don't eat normally.
yeah.
It's not like something like dal roti, or it's not like normal vegetables and soup. It's more like something something which is uh, a bit more exotic, which you tend to have rarely. And I have this experience in my extended family as well, and I'm pretty sure in yours as well. We all tend to, although I've been very, very strict in clamping down on in my life, at least for the last 5 years, that we tend to have more fried food at iftar. more samosas and pakoras than you ever have in the whole year. Would everybody agree with me? Raise your hands if you do, otherwise you don't. You have more sweet dishes. You have more sweet dishes in the iftar as well as in the suhoor. So yes, we are giving charity a lot more, but the idea of having reasonable food is not actually being practiced by most of us, I would say. And the idea is like, because we don't eat the whole day, so let's have something nicer, which is great. Ah, okay, somebody's annotating here.
Sorry, that was me bad.
Okay, that's fine. Don't worry, I've disabled it so it won't happen. So, yes. So there are certain things that we tend to do in the month of Ramadan as far as food and drink is concerned. We tend to have the most exotic juices and drinks that we don't normally have in daily day-to-day life, you know. Most people will have a cup of coffee or tea every day, but now we have certain very nice drinks made of raw afza and milk and you know, what do you call that? Some almonds in it and all that stuff. Normally don't do that. Maybe you would have once in a while, but you know, we don't. In the month of Ramadan, it becomes a regular thing somehow. So yeah, well, Abbas's dad is putting everybody on diet in the house, so that's not a bad thing. But be careful you eat properly, you know, eat solidly. And when I said last week that you should eat less, there was a context behind it. The reason was that when you eat heavily in suhoor, for example, and you have, you know, if you just in case you belch and something comes into your mouth and then you swallow it back, that can break your fast. If something comes into your mouth from belching, you go and spit it out, clean your mouth, that's fine. It's not broken. But so it's important that we have a reasonable amount of food and the good types of food. Now, this is not the forum to discuss what is a good type of food. It can vary from person to person, but generally we know what is a good type of food and what is not. What is extraordinarily rich to have and what is healthy and good as well at the same time. It doesn't mean that, you know, healthy foods can't be tasty. That's a misnomer. Healthy foods can be tasty and it can be made to taste better. But that's another point. Thank you very much. Anybody has a question to Abbas on those points that he made?
I don't have a question, but I have something to add.
Yeah.
He was saying that fasting makes you healthier and reduces inflammation and things.
Mm-hmm.
The Egyptians and the Greeks, before they went into battle, they used to fast, and so did the Mughals. They used to fast because they said it helped them feel energized before battle.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Are you sure that the Mughals fasted before they went into battle?
Yeah, someone told me that.
I have my doubts on that one. I don't know about the Greeks and the Egyptians, so I'll take your word for that. But, you know, soldiers do tend to have to have a right amount of nutrition. And if they overeat, they cannot fast. If they overeat or overdrink, they will not be able to fight a battle. They have to have the right amount of nutrition. Nowadays, in the modern world, you have those protein biscuits. So you might be hungry, but you're not, you know, your stomach might be not full, but your nutrients are delivered to you and you're strong enough. So that's something that is there as well. Okay, Abbas, can you continue for the next part of your answers, please?
Uncle, I answered the 3 questions.
All three of them?
Yeah, so it was like the third one was about how is it healthy and like how is fasting healthy, and the first one was about the 7 types. The second question was about how do you empathize with the poor people, and the third one was about the health benefits.
Very good. Well done, you, and congratulations, and very well done. I want to ask you a personal question. What, now that the month of Ramadan is almost 1/3 over, what have you felt like in your journey towards Allah? Have you gone closer to Allah in some form or the other? Can you share something about your experience, please?
I mean, I read Ziyarat al-Ashura like every 2 days, maybe, and I'm reading more Quran nowadays. I mean,
So you feel that you're getting on a
yeah, I'm
journey closer
doing.
to Allah.
I mean, I'm doing more than usual, definitely in Ramadan, but
Very good.
I don't really know how to explain how if you're actually getting closer to Allah or not.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. And okay, let me give you a tip here, just going out of this syllabus that we're studying. Uh, because you mentioned a couple of times here, and this is for everybody, not just for Abbas, that I'm doing certain things more which I don't normally do, and I'm getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm developing patience, I'm developing more self-control, things like those. I feel more empathy towards the poorer people. So these things are good. But what we need to do is we have to have a goal at the beginning of the month of Ramadan. Now, there always has to be an end point of what you want to see that you have achieved. If you do not do that, then it'll be like a game in, okay, we're doing something. We are doing something, but are we actually getting somewhere? So beginning of the month, or let's say from now, you've got 10 days left. From now, you put in a goal that this is what I want to set myself to achieve at the end of this month. And after I achieve this, I want to continue with this aspect or these two aspects or these three aspects for the rest of the year. Now, a goal is not a wish. A wish is everybody can have wish. You can have flying saucers and unicorns and all that. But a goal is something which can be measured, it is time bound, and it can be calculated how you can achieve it. There's a process behind it. So there has to be goal, and then you put up a little bit of methodology. Every day I'm going to do this. So we can build a habit of this. And there are hadiths in our narration that go that if you do something for 40 days, it tends to become a habit within our soul. And then it is difficult to break that unless you consciously decide that you don't want to do it anymore. So if you want to develop something good, do it for 40 days. If you want to if you want to remove something bad, then undo it or don't do it for 40 days. And that way you can actually inculcate habits or remove habits. So that's one thing. This is because I'm a coach. I know how this functions and how these facts back it up as well. So thank you very much, Abbas, for the presentation. Inshallah, next week, I'll ask somebody else to do another presentation. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is in the book of Aqaid. In the same book, as you can see from this chapter that I have, Adala, it is the second most important part of our Usul al-Din. Now, in Adala in English is defined as justice. Justice is something which is described as if you put something where it deserves to be put in its proper place, then that is justice. So if you are going to put your dining table in the bedroom, then that is not justice. A dining table is either meant to be if you have a huge kitchen there, or if you have a living room or wherever the dining room is, that's where it needs to be put, not in your bedroom. So the bedroom is meant to have a bed, it's meant to be sleeping. So this is just a simple example of that. So, we have learned about how we should treat each other well, we should treat each other equally and all that stuff. And this chapter talks about Allah being all powerful and all knowledgeable and all sustaining. He's a nurturer, he's the all wise, but he's also one who believes that he is just. He does everything justly. There is nothing that he does that is unjust to anybody. So one of the biggest qualities that we need to develop if you're going to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is justice. And justice has to be, implemented even if it goes against us. That is the tough thing. Everybody wants justice. Everybody talks about justice. There's nobody in the whole world that says there should be no justice. In fact, there are court systems that are there meant to be there so that we can have justice in the society. Otherwise, it's going to create a problem. So everybody wants justice, but when it comes to ourselves, then we can, slip up a little bit, because now nobody wants to go through their hardship because it's justice. And that is one of the reasons Imam Ali alayhi salam, who is our leader, which defines us as a group of people, as a people following a certain faith, that we tend to follow Imam Ali alayhi salam. But Imam Ali alayhi salam had so many enemies, mainly because of his justice. He was so strict with himself, first of all, and with everything and everybody, as far as people's shares are concerned, people's rights are concerned, everybody. And you look into your families, all of you are grown up children. You know, you can see what is going on in your family. You know what is right, what is not right, and maybe you can do something to better something within your own family. You can behave better with your own brother or sister. You can do something better with your own parents. Or you should sit with one of your parents and discuss something which you don't like about what one of them is doing to the other, or generally in the house. It's good to have communication. Everything done in love can be discussed. And in Islam, in families, there's nothing that should not be discussed in a loving, respectful manner, to gain knowledge and to better ourselves in a journey towards getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Everybody in your own places. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Now, what I said now can be very tricky, because, culturally, it is very, very, well, not very, very, it's not a done thing to challenge elder people in the family. When I say challenge, don't take the word in a very wrong context. The word sounds like you're going to have an argument with something. No, no, no. Challenge is something you address in a polite manner as well, which is being done for ages, like a normal thing, or which has been done from time to time, but it should not be done according to the rules of Islam, or according to the justice of Islam. It should not be done. So you address that situation politely. That is challenging a situation. For example, if you, under normal time, if you do not brush your teeth in the morning and you just walk around like that, how do you challenge that situation? You don't get into an argument with yourself in front of the mirror. You say, no, every morning I will get up and I will wash my face. When I wash my face, I will brush my teeth and make sure that it is clean and my mouth smells okay. So that is one way of challenging. It's a very small, silly example, but that's one way of challenging a situation. Things like those, putting things in the right place, not having dirty dishes and spoons and cups in your room. Mom, I want to have food here in my room because I don't feel like I'm feeling lazy, and mom being mom. Okay, my dear daughter, my dear son, I'll bring it to your room. And that plate or that cup is lying there for 2 days. That is not good. Address that situation. That is a challenge for you. When mom says, son, bring your dirty dishes, bring your dirty plates or your cups or your glasses into the kitchen, wash it, you got to listen straight away. This is how you address things. If your dad or mom does that, you have to address it. First of all, you do it quietly. You do it by taking it away yourself. And they see it and they will learn, because they are elderly people, they are wiser people, hopefully. Not necessarily, but hopefully. And they will address the situation knowing. And if they don't see you doing that once or twice, then you can tell them politely, Mom, we should put our used cups and plates in the kitchen sink, not here, not on the bed, in the bedroom where we are meant to be sleeping. It's not. Just a simple example. And there could be serious things as well that you can discuss with your parents or with your grandparents or with your brothers and sisters. It's not a big deal as long as it is done politely, in a matter of conversation, not accusation. Not accusation. You don't accuse even a younger or an elder. Nobody should be accused. It should be a discussion. It should be a conversation where your idea is to sort out the problem, not to enter into a fight. Because you can get angry. It's very easy to get angry. And like Abbas in his presentation said, it teaches Ramadan, Shahr Ramadan teaches us self-control. And justice, when you implement justice, it needs a lot of self-control. It's very easy if you're in a situation of a little bit of privilege to take something extra for yourself which you don't deserve or which is not your share. So this is just a beginning of uh, as an introduction to justice. Now, why is, if Allah is so just, the question then arises, why is there so much suffering and why is there so many calamities in this world? You will read in the book. I'm just going to just speak through it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to share your raise your hand up and ask me the question. So the thing is, the how why are the reasons? What are the reasons for all these problems that exist in the world? I mean, problems can exist for any reason. People say, "Oh, you know what? There's nobody's fault. There's an earthquake somewhere, or there's a volcanic eruption somewhere." Well, that's obviously no person's fault, but it could be a person's fault as well. It could be human activities also. However, the natural, activities of the Earth's crust can also cause these movements. I don't know if you've studied in geography or whatever your subject you're studying about that there are faults in the Earth's crust. They are actually called faults, and they sit where they can cause a fracture. They can move. They can shift to adjust itself, and that causes a lot of turbulence on the surface of the Earth's crust, which is where we live, on the surface, and that can cause earthquakes. There are certain high activity areas in the world, and it moves, and then there is a bit of destruction on the surface of the Earth, which we call destruction because we are looking at it from our own comfort's perspective. We had a house there, we had a shop there, we had railway lines or whatever, buildings, or they are getting destroyed. People are getting injured, some of them dying because of that earthquake. But there could be some other reason for within the Earth's crust why this is happening. We don't understand that. And it could be something major, even worse than that, could have been averted by the shifting in the Earth's crust. Similarly with volcanoes. And sometimes earthquakes are caused by human activity as well. There are a lot of stuff that is going on in the news. I don't know what is right and what is wrong. I don't want to get into that kind of a controversy, but human activities everywhere can cause an issue. So natural calamities always take place, but we only look at the worst part of it, or the what seems to us to be destruction. In the large scheme of things, if you imagine ourselves as being specks on the earth, we're just very minor types of existence that is there in the universe. If you look at the whole universe solar system's map, you will see how small the earth is, and on the earth how small every living being is. And if you look at the whole universe, even the earth seems like a speck. So in the large scheme of things, it's not total destruction as such. Of course, when it affects us, it seems like destruction. Then you have suffering that is caused by us to ourselves, you know, with a free will that Allah has given us. And all the choices that we make can cause us harm. Let me give you another simple example. If you are going out in the winter, it's cold outside, and if you don't dress up properly, like there's an example in the book, you're going to catch cold and then you're going to fall sick. So that is one kind of way of bringing suffering to ourselves. Then there are other kinds of suffering that are caused by others' greed, the will, the idea to have control over certain things, or to have power, or to show that, listen, I am more powerful than you. These are sufferings caused by human beings on other human beings. On the earth, the world becomes a dangerous place that way when you don't have justice, when people usurp people's rights. You look at what is happening in Palestine. Look at what is happening in Kashmir, many other places. There's wars being going on for ages and ages. And if there's no war, at least some people are being subjugated and subdued by their rights being taken away. Don't ever take away anybody's rights, because a cry of an oppressed person is heard very, very quickly by Allah SWT. When I say very, very quickly, I mean to say it doesn't mean that, okay, you're going to get the result straight away tomorrow. Maybe, maybe not. But Allah does not ignore the cry of an oppressed person, somebody whose rights have been taken. For us, it might seem like it's been years and years that this situation is going on. It's never going to get better. But rest assured, in Allah's world, there might be delay according to our timeline, according to what we think in the day and age that we live in. We want instant gratification of everything, instant results, otherwise it doesn't work out. No, Allah can always do things in what we might consider, according to our limited understanding and our timeline, as taking ages to happen. When the day of Qiyamah comes, because you see, we live in this world, we are 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old. And some people are 60 years old, some people are 80 years old, some people are 100 and they die. And the life that we have after we die, before the day of judgment, it's going to be very, very long. At least everybody's going to live 100,000 years, even from the day of when this earth is finished, from the 100,000 years till the day of judgment. So we have a lot of time for reckoning there. And then, of course, there's judgment day in Allah's eyes, where everything will be judged and every deed will be speaking for itself. Every deed will be alive. It will be there as as a reality. So remember, never ever be unjust to people. No, people make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. But if we know and realize our mistakes, we have to be very, very quick in repenting and ask Allah for forgiveness. Astaghfirullahi Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Allah, forgive me and I repent from my deeds or actions. So that's one way of trying to be very, very careful of not to take away anybody's rights. So this is suffering caused by others, other people, and there are other ways that we, suffering actually, if suffering happens to us, then we actually become stronger. We get a bigger character. Because a lot of people in this age, in the lands that we live in, the Western Hemisphere, we are used to being mollycoddled. We don't know what hardship is. We don't know how it is to live a tough life. Tough for us is having a phone broken. It doesn't work anymore. That's tough. I understand it is tough. It'll be tough for me, very tough for me as well. But in reality, that is not tough. You can easily survive. I used to survive without a phone. Most of my life I've lived without a phone. It's only in the last 10 years that I can't do without a phone. And we used to meet our friends on time, every time, never had a problem. We used to communicate with our friends all the time without having a phone. But we used to communicate physically, and then we used to stick to our word to meet up next time, and we'd spend time together and all that stuff. That's just another example. But tough is when you have to go 5 miles each way, walking in the summer heat to get water. And if you're fasting, it is even tougher because you're going in the sun to get water, which you're going to carry on your shoulders or in your hands to bring it back home for the family. That is tough. That is a challenge. Tough is fighting a battle in the heat for the sake of Allah. When the enemy is strong and you don't know whether you're going to be able to make good, that is tough. But Allah sees all these things. So whatever it is, if we come through it and if we survive and we struggle, that makes us stronger. We always hear this phrase. I don't know whether you use it or not. There's always a phrase going around in grown-up circles that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, if one dies, it died. The life is gone. But if you're going through hardships, then you struggle and you get across to the other side of it. It'll always make you stronger. Whether it's ill health, whether it's lack of money, whether it's lack of resources, whether it's having some losses physically somewhere. So everywhere where we get through on the other side, we will be stronger of that. So that's one of the reasons why suffering can help to build character. I don't know what else is in the book. These are things that I came across, and yeah. Another thing is suffering brings us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am pretty sure, and I don't know if you've noticed or not, but reflect on this. If you go to a masjid, you will definitely find poor people in the masjid. or into the center. Sometimes rich people forget about going to remember Allah. Because when you have nobody to help you, but you know there's only Allah for you, you always go and remember Allah. The harder your life is, the more you will remember Allah. But if Allah blesses us with every comfort, there is a chance that we might become lazy, we might become complacent, but Allah, it doesn't take much for Allah to take it away from us. You know, for example, we have a very nice house and we live in nice rooms and we've got all the amenities inside the house. There's a computer, there's a TV, there's a car outside, you know, you have nice dresses and all that. One day, God forbid, one day, the ceiling falls down and your house is destroyed and everything goes with it. And luckily you escape. Now, that is a thing that Allah can do. Allah can take it away depending on what our actions are. But if we are grateful and if we are heedful, if we are aware of what Allah has given us is nothing that is ours, it is of Allah, from Allah to us. We are just custodians of it for a short period of time. We are just being holding it together for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has given us to take care of it. If we have an attitude of things, about things like that, then we'll never ever get into a situation where we are, you know, in love with things for the sake of things. Of course, we like our things. There's no harm in that. But when you start getting into a situation where your life is about things, that makes it a problem. But as long as you are aware, all of us, that we have things from Allah for which we are just caretakers. And then we'll be leaving these things, this house, this furniture, this whatever it is. One moment we are talking now, and then we are no more. Then we know that there's nothing to get attached to. Okay, fine, one of my brothers or sisters has broken something. It's okay. They didn't intend to do it. It happened. They shouldn't have done it. They should have been more careful. But it's okay. Inshallah. We can always get something. So this is something that we need to be very, very careful about. If we have a decent life through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and thanks to our parents and our grandparents who have been able to provide us with a lot of amenities, all the blessings that Allah has given us, and we always make dua to Allah, do dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with his blessings so that we can use those blessings in the way of building a closer relationship towards him and helping our fellow human beings. Now that's another way of, you know, remembering Allah's justice. And another thing is that when you have suffering, it reminds us, because the Quran and our Deen says this, that this world is not a place of comfort. It's a place of tests and trials. Every day we have tests and trials, sometimes big, sometimes small. When the big ones come in, we struggle and we are scared and we feel how we're going to manage this. But there's a big thing to remember, that this world, even if you go through that struggle and you're feeling peaceful and doing shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we should do in any case, in goodness and in difficulty, remember there's another thing going to come, because this is the world where we have to struggle. I think there's a very interesting narration which says that if you don't get a difficulty within 40 days, every 40 days, you should start getting worried. That means that Allah is not remembering you closely, or he just let you go. Okay, fine. Because sometimes, you know, if you see people who have a lot and they seem to be happy all the time and never have any problems, you know, either they might be just, you know, making it like they don't have any problems. But if they really don't have any problems, there's a big thing to worry about, because something is going to come. And if it's not coming in this world, then it's even more dangerous. It can come in the next world. And that time we don't have any choice or any chance of rectifying or making it better. We will just have to go through it and, you know, just make ourselves face that. And the time for repentance is now. So it is very important that we indulge big time in justice, even at our own cost. You all are youngsters, and it's a good time to practice justice, even if you are at a loss. One of the biggest things I remember, if you go, if you're in a train station and you have a poor person and you've got something to eat, and the poor person is there, is really hungry. You can tell that he's poor or she's poor. And then are you able to give it to that person? No, it might not be justice, it might be generosity. But every time you see there's a hungry person somewhere, especially if it's a child, you can be sure that there is some injustice somewhere, that somebody's going hungry. Because in this world of Allah, there's so much abundance for people to eat. Basic food, not a problem at all. You might not have all the rich foods and all that stuff, but there's so much there in Allah's world that everybody can eat 2-3 square meters per day. Everybody can have a drink of water per day without any problem. But it's because actions that people undertake or choices and decisions that people make towards other people, they are oppressing other people. That's why there's hunger and suffering. There's no reason for anybody to go hungry. So when you see somebody going hungry, you can rest assured that there is a problem somewhere, and it becomes our duty to make sure that the other person is not hungry in front of you. At least when they're in front of you, make sure you share that food that you have. If a train station example, if you're eating something and somebody is putting forward his hand or her hand towards you for some food, make sure we share it. Make sure we share it, because we are the followers of those people, that family that gave away their food to the needy when they were fasting, when they're about to do their iftar. Not for one day, not for 2 days, but for 3 days. When the people came to the door, they gave away everything to them. And the children of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Lady Fatima salamullah alayh, Imam Hassan and Hussein and Zainab salamullah alayh, they were also hungry. They hadn't eaten much for 3 days, and they were fasting because they had a manna to fast. Because Imam Hussein was sick, and there was a thing that that Rasulullah suggested, if you fast for 3 days and ask Allah, it'll be fine. But they were not eating because they were giving away the food to the needy. That is the ones who we follow. I'm not saying you got to give everything to the people who come to your door, but at least share it. In this country, nobody comes to the door in any case. If you see it, if you can make online donations, if you can send money, or you can have people feed somebody in a poorer land, that is something that we should do. Everywhere there is a hungry person, there is injustice. Just remember this principle. If somebody is going hungry, that is because there is some injustice. I don't care whether he's unemployed, or if he's employed, or he can't get a job, or he's a drug addict, or he's a drunk, or whatever the situation might be. A hungry person means there is injustice going on in some form or the other in that area, in that place. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Please recite a salawat in wherever you are. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So I'm going to stop here on this topic of Adala, because with my quick talk overview of the chapter of Adala, I have actually given you the entire chapter, and you can read it now once you finish the class or whenever you get a chance. And you have worksheet 2.1. I want you to go through these and answer these questions, all of you. Okay? And I want one of you to raise your hands who's going to give me a presentation of all the answers, and we have a discussion like this today. Can anybody raise your hand who would like to give a little presentation of maximum 5 minutes with these answers that you see? Murtaza Rizvi was the first one. Okay, Murtaza, you are responsible for doing these answers in a presentation form next week. Although I want everybody to attempt these answers, and if you have any issues, please ask questions. Now you can unmute yourself. If you want to ask me any question, or if you want to type your question, please feel welcome. Go for it. 5 minutes for questions now before I go on to a little next topic.
Assalamu alaikum, Maulana.
Alaikum assalam. Muhammad
Yeah.
Raza Shah. Yes, please.
I don't have the book. Where do I get the book, Maulana?
Sorry?
I don't have the book. Where do
You
I
don't have
get
the
the
book?
book?
You want the online book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Uh, there is a link to go on the Majlisul Ulama Shia website, and you can get it from there. I
Thank
think
you.
it was put up by one of the brothers who was there in the last class. He's not there in this class, but I will put it on for you. Maybe Brother Amir, can you put the link up kindly, please? Or to
And I just downloaded it.
you just download it. It costs you £1, I think, to do an online download.
Where can you buy?
Sorry?
Like in your hand, so you have it in your hand. Where can you buy the book?
You can buy the
Like from
book
a
as
store or
well.
something?
From you want a hard copy book?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can obviously get it from your center, which is closed these days, I know, but you can also get it from the same website, and they can send it to you by post. I'll just ask Brother Amir to put up a link. So be patient. You'll get a link on the chat box soon, inshallah. Okay?
Thank you, Maulana.
No problem at all. You're very welcome. Yes. Any more
Love it.
questions regarding what we discussed right now about justice?
Some people say that if Allah is fair, Allah knows everything, and Allah can do anything, then why does evil still exist in the world? So I think that because Allah doesn't do everything that happens. Sometimes things happen just from like a course of life, and it's not Allah's doing. If something bad happens, like is that like right or
Okay,
that?
a good question, Murtaza. This is a question that has been discussed by theologians, you know, the people who are scholars in Aqidah, on Usul, Al-Din, and all kinds of religious people, Christians, Jews, you know, atheists. That's the biggest thing about atheists, that Allah knows, and you're saying that He can stop it if He wants to,
Yeah.
but He doesn't. The thing about it's a lot more detailed, and there's no yes or no answer to it. Of course, Allah knows everything. Just because it is in Allah's knowledge doesn't mean that, you know, He has to stop it. He has given us free will. He's given us free will so that we make the correct choices, make the correct decisions, and He has given us guidance through prophets, not just one or two prophets, but He's given us guidance through 124,000 prophets over the years and ages. He's given us books to see what is wrong and what is not, and He's given us intellect. If we do not have the books or access to books to understand what is right and what is wrong, He's instilled His fitra in us to see, to discern what is correct and what is not. So all these things, Allah has given these little tools, and they're not little, they're huge tools, they're huge resources which we can use to be on the right path, to be doing good. So it's despite that, if you make choices due to your own selfishness, due to your own greed, due to your own lust of power, or trying to control other human beings, then that is not Allah's thing. And because we live in a world which is of matter, and in matter there's always a cause and an effect. An effect will come into being only if there is a cause for it. Allah knows what's going to happen. If you do this, that'll happen. He knows. But it's the same thing as a teacher knowing which student is not going to do well and which student is going to do well. Just because the teacher knows doesn't mean that, you know, you can't do better. It's up to you to work hard, isn't it, to do better? But because teacher has seen you like over the year that this student has not worked hard, comes to class sometimes, doesn't come to class, doesn't do his homework in time, doesn't complete his assignments, you know, not interested, that much. They know what kind of grades they're going to get. But that ultimately the choice is ours of how we do it, what we do. That's what makes things happen. So Allah can stop it if He wants, but Allah has given us a timeline that He will deal with people when the time is coming on the day of judgment. At this moment, He's given us guidance, He's given us free will to a certain level, and He's told us of consequences, what could happen. What could happen in this life, and also what could happen after this life. So the rest is on to us. Allah is not going to intrude every time. Say, oh, why are you doing this? You shouldn't be lying. Oh, why are you stealing? Or you shouldn't be driving in the wrong lane. You shouldn't be crossing the red light. No. Allah has set up systems. That's why there's a red light. There's a system set up that there's a green light and there's a red light. And if you go through the red light, then you're going to get into trouble. And then you have to face the consequences. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Does it make any clearer, or is it still confusing?
Yep, it does. Thank you.
You're very welcome, because this is not a simple discussion, Murtaza. And inshallah, if you get a chance when you grow up, do a research on this. The question of evil. Why does it exist? How come Allah doesn't take care of that? Why does He let these things happen? Why did He let the war go on in Yemen? So, as an example, or anything for that matter. If there's so much injustice and people are dying of hunger in a certain country, why doesn't Allah take care of it directly? No, Allah will not intrude into this material world. He has given us guidance, He's given us tools, He's given us resources, and He's given us free will. And the rest is up to us to decide what we are going to do and how we are going to implement the justice. Anybody else? Question? Okay, we leave the question for now to think about it. I'm just going to talk 5 minutes we have on Laylatul Qadr. If you are all aware of that, the nights of Qadr are on to us. And there is a surah in the Quran which has been revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is surah number 19, which goes by the name of Surah Al-Qadr, which says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr, wama adraka ma laylatul qadr. Laylatul qadri khayrum min alfi shahr. Tanazzalul malaikatu war-ruhu fiha bi'izni rabbihim min kulli amr. Salamun hiya hatta matla'il fajr. Sadaqallahul aliyyul azim. I think you all should memorize this surah if you don't already know it. It's a very, very important surah. It has lots of benefits of reciting this surah. The benefits of reciting this surah, according to one of our hadith, is like you have fasted the whole month of Ramadan and been awake in the worship on the night of Qadr. That's the fast reciting this surah, just for reciting this surah. So if you remember and memorize this surah, it'll be very good, and always recite it in at least one of the rakat in your prayer, if you can. The night of Qadr is the night in which the Quran descended on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It didn't descend; it was brought down. And there's 2 words that are there. Well, let me actually give you the benefits. I mean, instead of going too deep, let me give you that why we should worship this night. Allah says that, what do you know what is Laylatul Qadr? You don't even have an idea. It says Laylatul Qadr is better than 1,000 months in the surah. 1,000 months is 83.333333 whatever years. It's a recurring 0.333. So it's more than 83 years, which is normally more than a lifetime. So basically, one night's worship, nights of worship in Laylatul Qadr is equivalent to, not equivalent to, it's better than a whole lifetime of worship. That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to say here. 83 years is pretty much, if you consider people are living a long time these days, 83 years, many people don't even survive 83 years. So that's how relevant it is. And in that night, all the angels keep descending onto this earth with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to carry out His affairs, to fulfill the destinies of people. Qadr also means destiny. It could be ordainment. It could be the night of power. There are various meanings. It could be the night of honor and dignity. There are lots of meanings of the night of Qadr. So it is important that we reflect and we pray on this night. Reflect and we pray. An hour of reflection, one of the hadith goes, an hour of reflection is better than a year of prayer. Because if you're praying and thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing and where you're going, then it is better than actually just keeping on praying hundreds of rakats of prayer without even thinking what you're doing. It's like doing a mechanical thing. So any ibadah done with reflection, done with thought, has value. Any ibadah which is done only mechanically, just for the sake of doing it because everybody is doing it, or because we've been told that we should do it, of course it has some benefits, but it will not have enough benefit to create change within you. Reflection on what you know, what you learned today, and if you reflect on what you know, reflection is defined as something that you think about, you ponder, and you analyze. What is it that we are being told to do? Why is it that we are being told to do this? What might be the benefit of this on me and on other people in this life and in the hereafter? These are things which are called reflection. Reflection will not happen if you're busy with many things. Reflection needs an empty mind. An empty mind doesn't mean it has no brain. It means it's not clogged with thoughts all the time. And in our day and age, we're always getting too much information from the media. We have iPad, we have cell phone, we have TV, we have all kinds of people telling us this, that, and that. There's a glut of information, and we need to be able to discern from this information and focus on the little bit of information that is relevant to us. That is what we need to do in our age. We need to get the relevant information which is applicable to us in our journey in this world, which will lead us to have a good life in the hereafter as well. There's no discussion or no doubt about the fact that if we live our life nicely in this world, according to the rules and regulations of Islam, which if you follow the rules and regulations of Islam, you'll end up following the rules and regulations of most places. So if we live like that, and after we finish our life in this world, the long life that we have afterwards will be much more comfortable. And that's what our goal is, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and which we'll have challenges, we'll have struggles, and human beings are very resolute. We have to be ready for the struggle, not be expecting people to do things for us, make it easy for us, not expect any help from others. What I mean is that you have to step up yourself first, show that you want to do something, you want to create some change, you want to actually actively deal with that situation, and then somebody comes across and you see that maybe this person can help me get better in this. Of course, take that or ask them for whatever in normal course of things, but you have to show that you are actually struggling, you are doing your work, you're doing your duty. It's a lot of talk is being spoken about these days about rights. Whatever we have rights, everybody has rights. Of course we have rights, and we should all have our rights, but we also have responsibilities, remember. And if we undertake our responsibilities, then we are in a position to talk about our rights. If we don't undertake our responsibilities, we are in no position to talk about our rights. So Laylatul Qadr is a night where we undertake our responsibility, and we show our ubudiyah. Ubudiyah means our servitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because on this night he has said that he creates destinies for the next year. There's a hadith which says that Laylatul Qadr is supposed to be 19th, 21st, or 23rd of Ramadan. If you look at Sunni hadith, they might say on odd nights of the last part of the month of Ramadan, and most probably on the 27th night, according to the Shia hadith, but most probably on the 23rd. So it says that on the 19th, it is the destiny is brought to us. On the 21st, it is finalized, and on the 23rd, it is stamped and signed, and everything is applicable for the year. So what I'm trying to say is that all 3 nights are important. And if anybody has missed the 19th prayers, please do not miss the 21st, which is tonight for most people. Or I don't know if you're doing it a day earlier, I'm not sure, but they're still going on. And even if you've done your 21st, you still have the 23rd to do. You can make full benefit of it, right? From the time of Maghrib to the time of Fajr. So the angels are descending. The earth is constricted so much because there's not enough space for all the angels of, of the Malakut to come in here. And it says not just the angel, but there's a ruh that comes in as well. No, in the ayat it says, Inna anzalnahu fi Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr. Wa ma adraka ma Laylatul Qadr. Laylatul Qadri khairum min alf shahr. Tanazzalul malaikatu wan ruh. It says malaika and ruh. Who is ruh? What is ruh? There are many discussions on that. If you're interested, we can talk about this longer now. Then we can go through the discussion of what is a ruh and the entire surah of Al-Qadr. But if you want to leave the class now, you're very welcome to leave. Please make sure that we all indulge in ibadah on these nights. And if you can continue till the end of the month of Ramadan, even better. But 21st night and 23rd night are very, very important for all of us to keep awake all night and then pray all night. Not indulge in discussions or chatter or whatever of regular things that we do, but be serious, be focused towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's my only strong suggestion and recommendation to you. Please pray for me so that I also do the same. And I pray that you all do this and Allah blesses you all immensely. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. You can ask me questions as many as you want now. And whoever wants to leave may leave.
You said that tonight it's decided our taqdeer for next year, and then on the 23rd it's confirmed. So isn't that done on 15th Shaban?
Yes, 15th Shaban is also done on these matters are done. There's a detailed discussion on what is done on 15th Shaban and what is done on the Laylatul Qadr of Shahr Ramadan. What I want to say, just leave it with that thought for you, is that Laylatul Qadr is the most important night of the year for all Muslims. And the next level is 15th Shaban. So destiny maybe is brought on that day and then finalized on this time. Destiny could be decided, okay, this is what's going to happen. And then there's a period of discussion, whatever. I'm just saying there's some protocol that is there among the Malakut, and then on the Laylatul Qadr, it's all finalized and done upon for the next year. So what sustenance, who's going to get married, who's going to die, who's going to get born, all those stuff, what's going to happen where. Every little affair of a human being is dealt with in great detail. Maybe in 15th of Shaban, there are certain things that are done generally, but on Laylatul Qadr, it's all specifically mapped out for each person. What one person is going to do. That could be the case as well. And Laylatul Qadr is not actually known in detail by people, by us. So we are not exactly sure what happens, how it happens. Only Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Aimma alayhi salam were aware of these things. So I will not be able to give you a definitive answer.
Okay.
Okay, Brother Amir has not put the link for the book yet. Okay, let me just give me one more minute. I'm going to go on to the website and find out the link for you.
I think the person who